Whenever you're ready, we're rolling. Good evening, everybody. It's Monday, May 11th, 2015, 6:30. This isn't on our regular scheduled meeting, but it is a meeting we have generally before town meeting to go over any business or any new information that we may have received in order for us to prepare for a town meeting. And we will have a regular scheduled meeting tomorrow, Tuesday, at 7 o'clock on May 12th. And that'll probably be abbreviated also, so we can continue on with 12th town meeting. But here we are, and I guess we can get up to business. Charlie's got some more information for us.
Well, some of it's town meeting related, some of it isn't, but we can go through it, and if the board wants to move anything to Tuesday, we can do that. Related to town meeting, I wanted the board to ask the assessors to declare the overlay surplus to be $85,100. That's the amount that would be used at the annual town meeting later tonight.
I would make a motion that we request of the assessors to declare an overlay surplus of $85,100.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We received a talent bank form from Melvin Conroy, who I believe was on the capital planning committee.
Yes, it is.
And he's applied to the vacancy on the finance committee. And I wanted to forward that to the finance committee.
Perfect.
That's it.
Okay. Update on the across-the-board wage increase. This earlier today, when Sandy was reviewing the numbers one more time, make sure everything was right, she realized that there was a water department appropriation that she had under raise and appropriate, meaning that instead of using water department revenues, she had allocated raise and appropriate money towards that water department appropriation. Because that's an error, we want the water department expenses to be funded by water department revenue. She moved it back into the water department appropriation column, which means that that money is freed up for raise and appropriate, which then in fact allows, if the town meeting wants to pass a 1.5% across the board pay increase for union and non-union employees. And that would still leave a little bit of money on the table. It's not, that would be down to the last penny in doing that. At this point, Wage and Personnel is aware of it. Sandy's telling the Finance Committee right now. I suspect Wage and Personnel is going to be standing by its recommendation of a 1.5% increase under Article 2 of the Wage and Personnel bylaw amendments. At some point, whether it's now or a little bit later tonight, the Board of Selectmen is going to need to take a position on whether to recommend no increase or 1% increase or 1.5% increase. In all those cases, we have the money, so it's an argument not of whether we have the money or not, but whether we want to spend the money.
What happened with the student? Can we now be able to do the student?
Well, the student hasn't, at this point, we've been notified about the student's application, but it's not come to the Board of Selectmen for a decision, because I think at this point right now, the school committee has to make a decision whether to accept or reject. As far as I know, they're going to be rejecting the application because it came in late.
How late
So
was it? I'm sorry.
So it was only a heads up? that
Well,
we
it was a
had
heads up in that the school committee wanted to hear from the individual members of the Board of Selectmen in that if the board was going to be willing to say, hey, we're fine with it, we'll find the money for it, you know, that would be a horse of a different color for the school committee. But at this point, the school committee's planning on rejecting the application. It was about 3 weeks late, 3 or 4 weeks late.
Right. Well, I know you kind of tied it to the wage
Right,
thing.
because when it came in, that's what the situation was. It
Yeah,
was
I just, maybe it shouldn't have been tied to that.
possibly.
But I mean, if our decision is based off of that, now that's not the case now.
Right, the school committee.
So a decision, but we're not in the position to make a decision because
Right.
it hasn't formally come here.
Right.
So how much would be left over, you think, at a 1.5?
Right now, after 1.5, somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000.
So would that money come from that if push come to shove?
If
or
push
how
comes
would
to
that
shove,
work?
then that's what would have to happen, right? We would have sufficient
that's
money to cover that tuition and transportation for that student.
And that's not town votes?
Not yet, because school committee has to say yes
Right,
first.
okay. No,
And
I
then
understand,
yeah.
but I mean, eventually will the town need to vote on that? Or
If
was
if the school committee rejects it and it isn't appealed, then there's
Right.
no vote
Goes
for
away.
the school, yeah.
What if it goes the other way, what happens?
Then eventually, if it comes back to the town meeting will have to vote to increase that line item. So I don't know if the board wants to talk about this now or wait for the debate later tonight, or
Debate with who?
the debate.
On
Oh,
the
right,
1.5%
1.5.
increase.
It
I,
was-
I think we need to talk about it now, so, because we're gonna be asked.
My decision was based on the fact that there was money available to try to fund it, and it would have put us in a deficit if we'd have funded it, and that it came in, I guess you said 3 weeks late.
You're
I-
talking
I-
about the application
the
or the raises?
application.
Oh, okay.
The application.
Well, and I'm asking right now for your thoughts about the across-the-board wage increase.
If it's available, I don't have a problem with 1.5% increase.
I would support a 1.5% increase.
As a board member, I'm gonna abstain.
So could someone, does
I
someone
will
wanna
make a
move?
motion that we support 1.5% across the, board wage increase.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
You have two requests for line transfers, they're at the finance committee also. First one is for $750 from office machines to the town report. If you notice in the town meeting warrant, there were those two colored pieces of paper.
Yeah.
We added an added printing cost above the normal printing cost for the town meeting warrant, and it's about $750. So we don't have that money in the budget for that, so I'm asking, and the office machines budget does have sufficient money to move over there. So I'm asking
It
the board.
was stuff we printed?
Right, in the town meeting warrant, you'll see the pink and the blue survey sheets.
Oh, those weren't included.
Those were not included in our when we go on budget, we don't
Oh.
assume that we're gonna have these
So those
supplements in
pink
there.
copies cost us $700?
Pink and the blue cost $750,
Wow.
right? Well, it's not just the color paper, but obviously they have to be printed separately and such.
So we were
and inserted.
we were given a quote on the number of pieces of paper in the warrant, and when we got 2 more pieces added?
Well, because they have to be printed separately and then collated separately.
It's
With
like
the
a
rest of
separate
the-
order, in other words.
Because it went in after the fact?
No, mechanically, it's a more costly procedure to do something like that. If they were simply on white pieces of paper in the middle with everything else, it would
Oh.
cost less.
Oh, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It cost less or maybe non-effect to the budget?
It might have had a little bit of effect on the budget, but not as much as it did. But the thing is, with the colored pieces of paper, it makes them much more prominent, and in the middle,
No, I
they
understand
can
that.
pull them out and get them sent.
But we were quoted, and if we had 3 or 4 more pages of our own stuff, most likely it wouldn't have added to the cost.
We had a per-page cost.
We did have a per page
Correct.
cost. And we already knew ahead of time? I mean, because this was budgeted,
Right, we budgeted it last May.
yeah.
So we didn't assume that we were going to have these additional inserts.
I didn't know we knew how many we were gonna have this time. You guys are gonna miss me, you know that. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I just need, if the board wants to, I
I'll
can
rub
make a
it in.
motion
I will
to,
make a motion that we, approve the line item transfer of $750 from office machines to town report.
Second.
Any further discussion? I'm just trying to understand it,
Yep.
you know, the mechanics of it. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
you also have a request for $1,300 from ambulance billing to ambulance supplies. The billing software is less than needed, so they have money available. It's priced according to the number of bills that they issue. And in terms of ambulance supplies, it's just the cost of the supplies have gone up this year more than anticipated.
I would move that we transfer $1,300 from ambulance billing to ambulance supplies.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
You have an ambulance abatement request for April 2015 of $18,490.58.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The board was notified that tomorrow there's a hearing on a bill to make changes in the 1964 Brockton use of Monpont Pond legislation. This would, in essence, put a provision in there that Silver Lake, Monpont Pond, Furnace Pond shall be managed at all times unless prevented by drought, such that there is continuous flow provide to all the outflowing rivers, including the Jones River, Stump Brook, and Herring Brook, to support and sustain their water quality as well as maintain the health and function of the ecosystem. I believe this was filed by Tom Coulter. The hearing is tomorrow. Normally I wouldn't go up there on a town meeting day, but I'm also scheduled to go up for a workshop on open space tomorrow morning because I'm going to see whether there's a possibility of getting money from the state for the Hops playground, since obviously they've made a lot of inroads in getting fundraising, but getting a sizable check from the state would help them also. So I'm going to be up there in the morning. The hearing's in the afternoon at 1. I guess there's two things: whether the board is interested in submitting any testimony or not, and then second, if they do, whether they want me to be there for the afternoon session.
I can't be there, but isn't Pine Du Bois and some of the other people on
Correct.
the river thing gonna be there?
Yes.
And they're much better spoken on the issues than I am. I think it's important that we do have a statement of some kind, let them know the importance of having that water flow and how it affects the town in general. Standard of life, especially using that pond.
Is this language from, who's this language from?
Well, Tom Coulter filed the bill. I suspect that the folks like Pine had talked with him about following the legislation.
Pine?
Pine Du
Pine
Bois
Bois,
from the
she's
Jones
the-
River Watershed
She's the
Association.
president of
Okay,
that
okay, so
association.
they came up with this
Mhm.
language.
I mean, I would appreciate if you could be there just to offer either some words or, you know, whatever you feel comfortable with. But again, like Pine Du Bois is, Troy stated, is, you know, she's really a champion for the pond issue. And, you know, I talked to Charlie earlier, I just had some questions about, you know, what would enhance the already bill of saying that Brockton is, you know, she has a responsibility in keeping the water clean. So
Well,
it's just sort of,
Yeah, the idea is right now, under the current legislation, if they divert, then they have to send a certain minimum of water down
Over,
to Stump Brook,
yeah.
for instance.
yeah.
This says diversion or not diversion, they've got to be getting some
Continuous
outflows
flow.
out there.
Which we haven't been having.
Right.
No, that's why I put down there, in fact, in my boat Saturday. It was out Saturday, and there's a whole lot of logs and debris and stuff built up.
Yeah.
A cul-de-sac.
Well, I mean, I think it'd be a good idea if you could do that, just because you can get more of a feel of what's being talked about, and also, and bring that back to, you know, where it ended up and what you think it was heading, or adjustments, or, you know, you get a better feel being there
Right.
on what was going on than just in hearing it secondhand. And you might lose some in translation, so it might help, especially when they have a lot of meetings in the town hall. You can relay that sentiment.
But I think more than anything else, this is the furthest we've gotten on trying to get that lake cleaned up, with the water flow especially, in 20-some odd years that I've been involved in it. And I think it's only fair that we show support to the group such as Fine and the others that have worked so hard to try to get it to this point.
So, by all means, that's something you can do, Charlie?
Yeah, that can be it.
I'm sure that Paul knows about this meeting from the watershed committee, I'm sure. He'll probably be here. I just wanna make
No,
sure
he was
that
the first person,
watershed-
he was the first person
On
on
the
the
email.
Awesome, I just wanna make sure he was part of it, so I'm sure he'll be in on that shit as well.
I mean, speaking of keeping it clean, did you see the dump stuff, somebody dumped tires and stuff down there by the rock?
Yeah, down by the
Santa Cruz
rock. What did I thought somebody did some cleanup down there.
I saw
Somebody
that
dumped it.
Sunday morning it was there. I saw two environmental
We're by the
police
dock,
But
Yeah.
Well-
right in front of the stone.
right
No.
in front of the
but
stones.
that was all the cleanup from Saturday.
All those tires and all
Yes.
that junk and everything came
Yes.
out of the lake?
Yes. If you look, I can show you
Oh,
photographs from
God.
on the
Why is it
internet,
still there?
because it need to be picked up by the highway crew.
I know, but that's one place I'd want to pick up right away, because
So, well,
there's
'Cause
two,
it'll go back
there's
into the
two,
water.
there's two environmental police crews are sitting there, and they're probably scratching their head, well, what is this doing here?
well, all I can tell you is that was the
Oh.
cleanup.
Bob has been made aware.
It was
of
not attractive.
I don't know who talked to who.
Okay, can we?
Well, first of all, I'll go out, yeah, I'll get a word out, yes.
Yeah, I passed by today because I had to go there and I looked down there and I said,
Oh,
at first I said, that came out of the lake? My God.
'Cause it looked like somebody backed the dump truck up and dumped it all out there.
Yeah.
That's
There were a
what
lot
it
of
felt
people like cleaning up, which was so helpful on Saturday.
But I'll tell you, I'm looking at it as sending out the
Thanks for your
wrong,
part in that.
it's sending out the wrong message.
Yeah. Because other people might say, oh, that's where they're gonna dump
Yeah.
it?
When I saw those two environmental police, I wonder if they're scratching their head where it came from.
Mhm.
So, maybe, I'm sure they reported to the police and maybe they relayed, hey, that ain't from that, that's hopefully, so,
That's our stuff that would.
yeah, so maybe, you can,
I'll
just check
follow
on
up
that,
on
yeah.
it, sure.
and that house there on the corner of, White Island,
Right
Well,
down the road.
that's way worse now than,
well, I'll bring it to the board's attention on the 26th, at this point.
is that is,
I understand that, but the board's dealt with that location before and
Three
declined to
times.
do anything about
And
it, so.
and it hasn't, it's kind of settled down and then it wasn't as bad and some of it was cleaned and now it's like, it's loaded up again.
You had a group called Zeus, as in the god Zeus, and the number one Marine, which I guess is they're working for homeless vets, and they wanted to run a yard sale on the town hall green. I don't know, they may be coming in tomorrow to meet with the board. We have a letter saying they're intending on coming to the meeting on the 12th. They don't have a date for a yard sale on the town hall green. They're thinking sometime the end of July or end of June or beginning of July. Couldn't obviously be the same day as.
It must have been
Halifax
certified by
sites.
the state.
Yeah, they're
As a
501,
fundraiser group.
they're a 501c3, they have the IRS and such.
So we could talk to them
yeah,
before we
right.
granted it,
Yeah, right, so they may be coming in tomorrow, I don't know, just so the board's aware. You have a thank you letter from the Kingston Fire Department. This was on an incident on April 29th in McClellan Road for both from the Kingston Fire Department to the Town of Halifax Fire and Police Departments. Chief Heath was had a family relative visiting in Halifax and just wanted to really give a shout out to both departments for their response. And I don't want to go into the details of the people involved and such or what the medical emergency was, but he did want to, he sent a note of appreciation to the town, to the board, to say how well the police and fire
handled.
departments handled the
They
matter.
responded well to it.
What day was this on?
29th, I think, of
29th of
April,
April.
so a week and a half ago now. So if you want, I assume I would hold, it doesn't say a CC to the department, so at the very least, the board could do that.
I would move that a copy of this letter has not been sent to the appropriate departments, the police and the fire, that we do CC a copy to them. And our thanks, kudos to them.
Second.
That was nice of them and, nice to hear our boys are appreciated too. Right? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Francis St. Croix is gonna be coming in 2 weeks from now. He's a resident on Franklin Street and wanted to talk with the board about the condition of Franklin Street. He said he was going to talk to, to the highway department, but, as far as we know, he's not yet. We heard back from the highway department about the conditions and they don't plan on doing any major work on Franklin Street until a decision's made about the Chapter 40B, since if they're gonna, that may very well involve work on Franklin Street by itself. But Mr. St. Croix is gonna come into the board to talk with them about it. And let's see, we have a town bank form from Dick Wright, who was interested in serving on the Housing Authority. That's has been sent to the Housing Authority. I'm gonna follow up with the director there to see if we can arrange an appointment for Mr. Wright to come back and to meet with the selectmen and the Housing Authority members on the 26th, because it's one of those joint board appointments to fill in the slot.
I love, awesome.
For, what was the position?
The Housing Authority,
Yeah, what was the position?
it's one of the seats on the Housing Authority.
Oh,
It's a five-person board.
It's,
well, I know that, Dick Clark is also,
He's running for the,
it's not the same thing,
well, there's several seats available. Well, there's one seat up for election right now.
right?
Someone else resigned just a couple weeks ago, that is not on the election ballot because they resigned too
Right.
late. So Dick Wright would be interested in filling the seat of the person who's just resigned. Dick Clark is interested in filling the seat that's up for election. And there are two distinct seats.
And there's nobody else already in that position? Oh,
No.
okay.
Correct.
Yeah, because he was saying there was a little confusion on how that works. If he's a write-in and then there's an appointed.
Well, it's two different seats. It's a five-person board, so there's no conflict.
In that there's not time enough to write in two people.
Correct,
You
because
wouldn't take the top two people?
no, because it's not on the ballot
They
that
have
way.
posted on the ballot.
Well, a lot of people's names aren't necessarily on the ballot.
It's not the
but
matter whether the person is, it's whether the position is.
Yeah,
So
Right
it's
now,
a
it says
position
elect,
of-
it says
Right.
elect one person.
for
Oh,
a
right,
term
right,
expiring
right,
in the
right.
state,
And
where the
that-
other person would have a different
And
expiration.
that's it for
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And we've run into that before, unfortunately, people,
The libraries, trustees, we've run.
well,
into
yeah,
that.
but one of the problems has been just simply some people resign in the period between when the election ballot is sent to the printers and
Right.
the election, and this is one of those cases. I also need the board to make a decision about the visit to the Northland Cranberries
Oh, yeah.
site.
You put out all those dates,
Yeah.
Charlie, and I was available all of them, so I don't know if you wanna pick one, what,
It's up to the board more than to me, they're gonna be dates.
You mean
I
the
can't-
dates up here is 17, no, that's,
yes, those are the dates, those are the, like,
Sunday,
when
Sunday,
Charlie can't
Saturday,
make these.
Sunday.
Yeah, which, it shouldn't matter whether I can make it or not, it's really more to the board.
Okay, you don't wanna walk in the woods with us?
Well, my specialty.
Not you. Whatever day you guys pick, except for a Wednesday.
Well, it's a weekend, I specifically did a
A
weekend
weekend,
because I
yeah.
thought there were gonna be other interested parties who
Yeah.
might not be able to make it
As
during the
long as
weekdays.
it's not on the 30th, because there's a graduation and a
Okay.
birthday party.
Okay, yeah, I can't do it that weekend, the week, but do you prefer a Sunday?
Well,
Less mosquitoes.
May 17th is Kelly's Eagle Scout
Oh,
ceremony.
alright, let's forget
Oh,
that.
yeah, at the town hall. What
Yeah.
time was that?
I think it's at 1:00, I think.
Alright.
And
Well, that's
then,
at 11:30.
so do you wanna do Sunday, June 7th, but
Sure.
Sunday, June 7th?
Okay, I'll tell people.
Unless you're gonna wait till next meeting and then you can ask the other one.
Well, he also got a copy of this, I haven't heard back from him, so.
Well, we can tentatively, and then
That's
if
what
for
we're
some
counting our
reason.
eggs. Or whatever you wanna
And
call
you
it.
have a request for family medical leave from Melissa Trainer. This is for a family illness that she needs to work on. It's gonna be on an intermittent basis. She has available paid leave, sick and vacation leave that she can use to cover.
I will make a motion that we approve the family leave, medical leave for Melissa Trainer of the Highway Department.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
That's about it. I mean, when we get to the Monpont Pond articles, on the special town meeting, I did get a report from Aquatic Control Technology, so an update. So they're hoping to do the treatments in both places, in this month, both west and east. So east using the herbicide on the invasive weeds, and west Monpont doing the initial, aluminum sulfate treatment.
If we should be successful in having the legislation passed and the continued flow, we need to know how that's gonna affect any treatment we put in there, because if it's flowing out faster, then it gets an opportunity to,
Well, on the herbicide, I think it's localized to the area where the weeds, so I think there's less problem. Big thing for that is simply be able to tell Brockton ahead of time.
not
You
to
can't-
pump
right.
or close it off.
Yeah, and then on the west side, yeah, I think, as you pointed out, there needs to be more coordination about dam levels and things like that.
Yeah, because since they're spending $18,000 or $30,000 to put chemical in it and it flows downriver,
What about those dam levels?
oh, you're good.
Charlie's not picking
Go
up
ahead.
on it.
Can I just ask one thing of Charlie? You know how I kinda like put notes for the articles that could be issues, you know?
Okay,
For myself, I just kinda do that, but, the only thing I don't have prepared is the stabilization for Silver Lake. Are you prepared to talk about
Yeah.
that? Okay.
yeah,
I did-
unless the board feels otherwise, I'm gonna be recommending that the town meeting vote against it, just like they did last year.
Yeah.
Um,
I just didn't print my
there's-
stuff.
Yeah, there's a lack of ability for the town to make a decision on the individual items. Instead, what we would be doing is simply sending money to their stabilization fund, and then we have no
No
voice
control,
in-
too. Well, we in the same boat we are now, we have no control over how they spend the money as it is.
Right, but it's even more so where we, at least for the stabilization fund, for instance, that
another
we
one.
use.
Right,
Yeah.
it's another one that we have.
Yep.
We ultimately do have a vote on the budget one way or the other. It may not be
On
on
the
the
budget
specific items.
as a whole, but we, not individual items on it as it come down, so.
All right, thank you, I just forgot to ask.
Did we vote,
earlier.
last year we voted against that, the
Correct.
woods, do we wanna vote the same this year?
I would move that we do, deny their ability to open up a
So we vote no against,
free cash
is that how that works?
Stabilization.
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 Well, they have the E&D account, which is different than the stabilization account.
That's what they use, the one that's 60 for the snow removal.
I like the way they use their term in money budgets and stuff. I'm not, too keen on that because how do you stabilize anything if you got a budget?
Right.
It's good.
Oh, we
Yeah.
didn't, we
He
didn't,
moved,
yeah, I'll
anyone want a
second
second,
it.
did you want a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the motion?
Move to deny the ability to open the stabilization account.
To move to not recommend passage of the article for the stabilization account for Silver Lake.
And
And there was a second?
yes.
So you moved,
third.
second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Hi,
Aye. Do we keep Pam on one sheet of paper there?
No, I think I got three.
3?
She writes big. You gonna do that?
did we talk about recognizing?
Yes,
The
we
retired
talked a
people.
little bit about John, but we wanted to recognize John Tuffy, for instance, and also you, Mike.
You, that's okay.
Recognize me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike.
we really don't know who we are. We
I
just
want anybody to
recognize who
recognize
you are.
That's why after meeting, this goes away, you can't tell who I am.
Oh, so that's how it is.
Yeah, you know how it works.
gonna wear a baseball cap?
Take the mask off. And
Maybe I can get
watch
some
the-
sun this year.
Yeah,
We have to get outside to do that.
Yeah, and then I gotta fix the pool first.
yeah. So, do you wanna check with John
I'll
Burrows,
check
see
with
if he
John,
wants to do
yes,
it, or
yeah.
I'll do it?
Yeah, I'll check with John.
Okay.
Unless there's
And
anything
then-
else, I'm gonna go
no.
back and,
No, that's
I would move that we adjourn the meeting and to set the town meeting.
second.
Any further discussion? We're all set for tomorrow and next day and? Alright, all those in favor?
Aye,
Alright.
Hopefully it won't be half tomorrow and we're all.
it's 7:16.
Are we gonna go to 11?
I would expect
John
so.
usually runs till 11?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're more than further along and we know we'll have
Maybe go to
an
midnight.
early night. No, I wouldn't go to midnight, but I'm saying maybe
Yeah.
leave a little early if we know we've gotten through a lot of it.
Well, you can ask John.
Yeah, oh, okay. Usually
We'll
that's,
see
I can't
how
remember
it's
what,
going,
I
Yeah,
can't.
Usually
we don't want a
Yeah.
chance going to third.
I know.
Well, this ought to be interesting, the
The
lottery.
body does not function after 3.
The lottery must be really interesting.
So, we're gonna be back in this room tomorrow night, 7 o'clock though, instead of 6:30.
What are we doing tomorrow night? What's it?
Just a regular.
I
7
do
o'clock.
have some,
With bill warrants and things like that.
yeah, I got bill warrants, we have bills, and probably, warrant,
these-
regular
this-
warrants, and I
The
have some,
Zeus folks might come in.
Oh,
yeah,
Zeus.
you know,
Zeus
those
might-
dudes don't know where they're coming, so we probably gotta call them tomorrow.
I knew a porpoise
So
named
what were you
Zeus.
trying to say? Keep,
We got road openings too, I got like about
Oh,
4 of them,
oh.
so we're gonna
How
do
many?
four.
are they all here on the?
No,